So a couple of years ago, I did a review on Twilight the book, and it's been 2 years now, and I think maybe we should revisit that. I finished the book. I'm gonna go ahead and give you my thoughts on this book. Here's the exact same copy of Twilight that I had 2 years ago. It's a little bit beaten up. This is the same one. And don't blame me for this, okay? Because I take pretty good care of my books. The only problem is my family does not. And my little sister wanted to read this, and my little brother wanted to read it, and it got annihilated. So here are some of my words on Twilight 2 years ago. To be honest with you, I really enjoyed this book. It was probably one of the best books I've read in, well, for sure this year, but for a really long time. So there's some pretty bold statements, I think. Do I stand by them? Yeah, sure. My little brother did a video on the Twilight series on his channel. You can check the link in the bottom bar. He was really cynical about the whole situation, which is kind of okay, I guess. Do I share his cynicism? No, I don't. In fact, I kind of stand behind my opinions of this particular book, Twilight. I have read 3 of the books, and I'm going to go ahead and give you my analysis on the entire Twilight situation. Twilight was made several years ago. I believe I was in 8th grade when it came out. That means all of the Twilight people that are into it now probably weren't even born yet. This right here, Twilight Booksellers shows her as one of the most promising new authors of 2005. For lack of a better word, it exploded onto the mainstream scene, and everyone liked it. Which, I guess, understandably, the book was okay. I think it deserved what it had. But it deserved that. Twilight, if you read it, is a standalone book. And I think what happened is the editors of Twilight said, "Listen, Stephanie Meyer, I know you probably don't ever want to revisit this story again, but listen, write a cliffhanger ending, and not even a cliffhanger ending. Write a prefix to the book, and say something cliffhangery. You know, I mean, if it doesn't get successful, you know, we don't have to go any further with this story. But if it does get successful, then we have legitimate reason to make a sequel." And that's exactly what they did. Twilight exploded, and it got really stinking popular. They released New Moon, which I do believe is actually a good book, but did not need to exist. New Moon did not need to exist, and never was going to exist if Twilight wasn't a huge mega success. This book was not supposed to be a quadrilogy. This book was supposed to be a standalone novel, which it would be so much better for if it was. New Moon was a pretty good book. The 2 movies that I've only seen New Moon and Twilight in theaters. I actually despise New Moon, the movie, with every fiber of my being, just for the fact that it was boring, crappy, and extremely mind-numbingly gratuitous in whatever, I don't even know. Words can't describe how bad I thought that movie was. It was laughably bad, if I must. Twilight movie was okay. That's all I can say. After New Moon, there comes this book. This horror of a book, I might add. I started reading this book almost immediately after I read New Moon. I honestly, I finished New Moon, put it down, picked this book up. He paused, searching for the words again. When your mother left, he began frowning and took you with her. He inhaled deeply. Well, that was a really bad time for me. Random page. Here's a clip. Here, you know what? Eventually, Taka tried to kill his body to save the tribe from... I don't know what's going on here. Here you go. Random page. Here's the clips. Let me open to the random page, preferably the beginning, because that's the part that I remember the most. She sighed, not meeting my gaze. "I'm worried." "What's wrong?" I asked. Anxious at once. What can I do? It's not me, she shook her head. I'm worried about you and Edward. And may I just say that this part of the book could have been edited out of this book and nothing would have changed. I will literally give you a one-sentence summary of this part of the book. Bella whines, Edward is a dork, and nothing happens. There is a scene, like, I would say that takes up 2 chapters of her filling out, like, invitations for her graduation. Yay. The ending, which I would say consists of this much book, is a battle, which ends, like, halfway through this part of the book, and the next part is her just whining again. This is literally the worst book I've ever read in my life. So much so that it tainted my entire outlook on Twilight. Back when I reviewed Twilight, I was just a bright-eyed 16, 17-year-old. Now I'm a cynical 19-year-old who hates Twilight due to this monstrosity. This book is awful. New Moon the movie was awful. I might have to see Eclipse the movie just to see how they could possibly make a decent movie out of this awful book. There's nothing redeeming about this book at all. In fact, this book does not need to exist, and neither does Breaking Dawn. This book is mind-numbing, and I've heard Breaking Dawn is even worse. I own Breaking Dawn. I have not cracked it open. Read this book, it almost took me an entire year. The only reason I finished it is just saying that this book will not be able to defeat me. Let's say, I guess maybe she was trying to follow the Harry Potter formula, make books really, really long. Let me just level with you, or just plead with you, maybe. Books do not need to be this long to be good. Just please, let's not do this anymore. Twilight Saga. First thing, it's not a saga. It is a sequence of books. 4 books that do not need to exist. 1 book was pretty good. 2 books made it a little bit worse, but still not bad. And this ruined the series. Not only the series, but all the characters and everything that Stephenie Meyer tried to do was ruined because of this book. This book does not need to exist. This book doesn't need to exist. All I can say is fan service to the highest level. Here's a fan fiction book that was somehow published, and maybe that's what happened. Maybe Stephenie Meyer paid a girl to write this book. Who knows? Maybe she didn't even pay her. Awful book. I do not recommend Eclipse to anyone. Ever. That's it. Goodbye.